Checking in on the crypto world as prices were volatile this morning. You see it's a slightly mixed picture here, but gaining back some ground here. Now, this is while the price action was continuing to fluctuate. The governor of India's central bank had predicted that crypto will be the reason for the financial meltdown should it not be banned. Now, while speaking at a summit this morning, Governor Shaktikanta Das said, quote, "If you try to regulate it and allow it to grow, please mark my words. The next financial crisis will come from private cryptocurrencies." Some strong words there, Akiko, from the central bank governor there in India.
Yeah, I mean, this coming from a central bank that does not necessarily recognize those private cryptocurrencies. So not entirely a surprise, but it is interesting to see, at least one governor coming out and speaking on this, because what I've been wondering is, as we've seen the collapse of FTX and then some of the contagion effects that have played out in crypto overall, how many of these central banks start to accelerate their use of digital currencies? Obviously, India exploring the digital rupee already. You've got China way ahead on the digital yuan. More than 100 countries are now exploring CBDCs. Does this collapse that we have seen over the last month strengthen the case for that and really strengthen the urgency by which central banks move? I think that's a big question.
I mean, it does give them sort of that "I told you so" you sort of bragging rights there when they see these sorts of collapses. Though, as we mentioned there, we have still seen Bitcoin and Ether still doing relatively well considering. But at first, when we first saw the backlash from FTX, they started selling off. It was about losing a lot of trust in the system. And for a system where you have economies as large as India and China, who, they have their doubts about this and they're developing their own digital currencies, this is just one more reason for them to want to steer away from it. And when you think of countries like El Salvador, who had adopted Bitcoin as digital currency there, as digital, so no, as currency there.
Legal tender.
It makes you wonder. Thank you. It makes you wonder how much an economy can really have this incorporated into the system when we're still trying to play out all the use cases for crypto and still don't even have it very clearly defined whether it's an asset or a token or used for currency. So a lot of questions here that I think central banks are still dealing with.
Well, and that's the point that I think the RBI governor was trying to make, is that it's 100% speculative, that there is no use case right now as far as he's concerned. But you're right. I mean, this goes back to that divide we've been talking about that's been playing out globally. There are countries that are on such opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to what should be done with crypto. India, along with China, one of those who have been very skeptical from the beginning, not an outright ban like we've seen in China in terms of mining as well as the use of crypto, but certainly one of the big skeptics. And so certainly not, a lot of people taking note about what exactly the RBI governor says there on that front.